So hi, everybody. Welcome to the Add-ons community meeting for November 7th, 2019. Got a lot of folks here today. Waving to Jorge, BJ, Siobhan, and Sylvain. I don't think I missed anybody. Okay, awesome. Except for, and Andreas, who just joined. So today I wanted to recognize Myungin Go, who's a contributor to Add-ons projects from South Korea. Myungin has been totally rocking it the last couple of months, landing patches both to AMO server and also to the web extensions API in Firefox. So I just wanted to say thanks so much for all of your contributions, Myungin, and thanks so much for helping us keep our platforms running smoothly and getting those bugs fixed. Really goes a long way to helping expand the reach of like what we're able to do and how smooth we're able to run. So thank you so much. I wanted to start this meeting off with a little bit of administrivia just because we're heading into the holiday season for North America, which means that we've got a couple of scheduling changes. So we're not going to have a meeting on December 4th, which would be our next scheduled meeting due to a Firefox product management planning meeting for 2020 Q1. So after that, we'll probably be able to share some information about what the add-ons team is going to be working on in Q1 next year. So our next meeting is going to be December 18th. That's going to wrap us up for the end of the year. And then we won't be meeting on January 1st, 2020, which I think would be our next scheduled meeting. So we'll catch up again later in January. I think that means that we've got like one meeting left for the end of the year. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of their calendars. And you probably all saw that North America has also just ended daylight saving time. So just a word of advice for the next couple of weeks to just double check the start times of all meetings at Mozilla and make sure they haven't moved around on your calendar because they might have. And then I wanted to dive in a little bit to some recent happenings. It's been a little busy around these parts for the last couple of weeks. So we're going to start off with the warnings for non-recommended extensions. Y'all remember a couple weeks ago when you were on the listing page of an extension on AMO, and you would either see, if it was a recommended extension, a little badge that said this is a recommended extension, or you would see a yellow banner saying something like, warning, this extension cannot be has not been vetted by Mozilla, be cautious. We heard a lot of feedback from that experiment. And so what we did is we ran an A/B test where half of users who went to AMO saw those banners and half of them didn't. And what we did is we compared install rates. And we did see that the warning banners worked and did end up driving people to install more recommended extensions. But we also got a lot of feedback from developers of extensions that were not in the recommended program that perhaps that warning was a little too much. So we are going to keep the warning going forward. We are going to scale it back and use slightly less scary language and also not use the yellow banner. We think that the yellow banner kind of triggered, a higher cautious response than maybe, that was maybe like a little off-putting to some folks. So when this feature goes live, it's going to be slightly different, but we are going to move forward with it. Any questions about the warning banner? Okay.
I'll add something to that, which is that so we're still not planning to put it live, but the next thing that we're going to do is run another experiment where some people are going to see the old the old banner, and some people are going to see the new banner, and some people are not going to see it at all. So I think we expect that to go live in the next few weeks. But yeah, the idea is that we're going to try a different presentation of the message that is less scary to see if it performs as well as the old one. And that's why we need to also test the old one so that we're sure that we're testing, we're comparing apples to apples. So some people will still see the kind of the scarier older version of the message for a little bit, so that we can just measure how the new one performs against it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jorge. I learned something today. Very cool. Any other questions? Okay, cool. The other thing that happened is we have a new AMO homepage, which is crazy. I guess it's been a while since our last meeting. So if you've navigated to addons.mozilla.org recently, you've probably seen that things have changed a little bit. So we've updated our branding to be a little bit more in line with the Firefox branding update that was tied to the Firefox 70 release. So Firefox 70 is currently out. And we're also trying to leverage AMO to be more, a little bit more of like an entry point to help users explore some other products that are being offered by Firefox, like the VPN, or like the secure, what is it even called these days? I apologize, folks. But we're using it to promote things like sync, to explore like the new tracking protections, and some media enhancers for Firefox, in addition to also using it to promote other extensions that are developed by third-party developers. So you're going to see some more updates pretty soon that are going to update the logo on it. And our word mark. So those changes will be coming in pretty soon. So I know the team worked really hard. There was updating that homepage for AMO has been a long, long road. So definitely cheers to everybody who was involved in getting that shipped and out the door. Any questions or comments about the AMO homepage?
I got one. Wasn't it some discussions regarding adding more images to the home page that is currently maybe a tad light?
I'm going to pass that on to Jorge, who I think was more involved in those discussions than I was.
Yeah, the original design for the new homepage was meant to have an image on the primary area, which we didn't have the images on time, and we decided to make some tweaks to the design so that it would work without images, but it kind of doesn't. It's just like all text, and it looks kind of weird. So yeah, there's an issue somewhere where we've been going back and forth about what we're going to do there. We decided that we want to have the images back, so now we're just waiting on the images so that we can start using them. So yeah, so we are going to go with the original design and have images along with those promotions.
Okay. Very cool. So the next thing that happened is we published a blog post where we officially announced that Web Extensions API is going to be supported on Firefox Preview, which is our next version Firefox for Android offering. So our plan going forward with that is that so this project is codenamed Phoenix within Mozilla. So the Phoenix engineering team is going to be responsible for building out those APIs with input and review from the Firefox desktop extension web extensions engineers. Sorry, that was just a lot of words to say all at once. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to take a pretty targeted approach about making sure that we enable support for the APIs that some of our most popular ad blocking extensions use, like uBlock Origin. And then once we have kind of baseline support for that, expand it out to see if we can support other extensions in the recommended extensions program. So work on that is probably going to be starting soon. We'll keep you all updated with more progress when that comes along. I know, BJ, you're an avid nightly user on Firefox for Android. So as always, we would definitely love to hear your experience testing it as those changes are coming in. So we'll probably be building that out for the next for the foreseeable future, I think the plan is to officially launch Firefox Preview as a full product offering sometime in 2020, probably like mid 2020 or later. So we'll be continuing to work on supporting web extensions up until that time. Any questions? All right, very cool. Should be good stuff. Andreas published some clarifications to our add-on policies last week. Andreas, is it okay if I toss it over to you for a quick summary of what's changed?
Sure. So as I said, we published an update that will become effective early December. The main changes or the main additions are around collecting potentially personal information like user search terms or visited URLs. We consider them as potentially personal information, and so they require an opt-in from the user. We have treated add-ons for most of the time with that to require opt-in, but it hasn't been part of the policy. It was just implicitly written in some of the other bullet points. So we made it really clear for developers that they need to ask for additional consent from the user for that. And there's the other significant addition that we added was that add-ons can no longer load a remote web page as a new tab page. That was already prevented by Firefox, but some developers worked around that technical limitation. So we now added it to the policy to make it clear to developers that they cannot work around that anymore. Thank you.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so hopefully we can kind of close up some of those loopholes. So a draft of these updates is currently available on Extension Workshop, and it looks like that is going to be officially adopted and merged into our standing add-on policies December 2nd. Yes. So thanks for doing that, Andreas. You may have seen a blog post that went out last week that we are discontinuing side-loaded extensions. I wanted to give a quick summary of the intent of that blog post because it seems like a couple of people maybe looked at the headline and didn't really read the rest of the text or didn't understand what we were trying to say. And I apologize for that for sure. But basically what we've noticed is that there are some developers who have applications that a user can install. So something like Microsoft Word or, another like image capture extension or something, or image capture program. And what they'll do is they'll bundle extensions within that application install. So when you install the application, it'll also add the extension to your Firefox profile. And in a lot of cases, users aren't aware that that extension is being bundled with that application, and these extensions are not able to be removed from the add-ons manager. You have to take a more advanced step. So one thing that we noticed when we implemented abuse reporting in Firefox, so that meant that when people went to uninstall an extension from Firefox add-ons manager, they could report abuse at that time. Which has really increased the number of abuse reports that we receive. One of the top complaints that we got was people reporting that they had extensions that they didn't remember installing and that they couldn't get rid of. And when we dug in a little bit deeper, we learned that those extensions were tied to this side loading. So they were bundled with applications that the user had been installing. So the decision was made that we're just not going to allow that going forward. And so what we hope to communicate was that by doing this, we are giving users a little bit more control over their what extensions are running in Firefox. So going forward, users will have to explicitly download an extension or explicitly install an extension in order for it to work. And that should make it easier also for them to remove the extension from the add-ons manager. So at any time, if a user says, oh, hey, I don't want this extension, they can get it out pretty easily. And at the same time, like they'll have to actually take action to get it working in Firefox in the first place. So that's going to go into effect starting in Firefox 73 when side-loaded extensions will continue to be read, but no new side-loaded extensions will be accepted. And so it's going read-only. And then in 74, it's just going to be discontinued entirely. Are there any questions about that? I know it was.
I have a comment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there was a lot of comments in a lot of responses regarding this blog, and most of them are negative. But I want to say, as Eric said in one of the comments, that thank you Mozilla for removing this kind of behavior that was used as an attack vector for a lot of users. Yes.
That means a lot. Thank you. Cool. So that's what we're looking forward to. But if you see anybody out in the wild who's concerned about that post in particular, or like what that means, feel free to send them over to us. Users will still be able to install self-hosted extensions. Developers will still be able to self-host their extensions. It's really just about that application installer.
Did the team try to contact some, I know that antiviruses companies are doing this a lot. Did you guys contact them to tell them about that?
We did. So we found, I think it was like the top 100 or the top 150 developers who commonly had extensions installed via sideloading. So we contacted them in advance of the blog post going up.
All right.
Cool. The next one is a note for our lovers of the command line tool. A new version of WebEx was just released yesterday. It's 3.2.1. If you use WebEx, you should update to the newest version. If you don't use WebEx, that's cool too. You can download the newest version if you want to experiment with it. But basically, there's going to be a change that is going live in a couple of weeks that adds a small delay to the total time between signing and signing and getting your XPI for unlisted extensions. And so what we noticed was that small delay sometimes will cause a timeout error on WebEx. So that's the thing is that your submission process will still go through and it'll still be retrievable. You're just going to see that timeout error. So the new version of WebEx adds a little bit more time, so you don't get that timeout error. We just want everybody to get a heads up and to get updated before they start hitting this in production. The same goes for users who are using their own custom scripts to interface with the AMO submission API. If you're in that situation, you should probably update your script to allow a little bit more time. Things are still going to get automatically approved pretty quickly. It's just going to take maybe a little bit longer than sometimes WebEx or the AMO submission API has done in the past. Any questions?
Thank you, Lucas.
Yeah, thank you, Luca, for sure. If you have written any user scripts that interface with the AMO submission API, I would love to talk to you about documenting some of the things that you use so that we can show other people how to interface with the API. And then the last update I wanted to let everybody know about is that Google has now published an update of their work in progress towards implementing v3. So it's linked in the agenda. I encourage you to check it out. They've tried to mark which things are ready for testing, which things are still in review, which things haven't even gotten on the board yet. But Philip surfaced this a couple of days ago, and for anybody who's trying to maintain extensions on both Firefox and Chrome, this might be a handy resource to see kind of what's going on. All right, and that's it. That's all of my catch-up stuff from the last couple of weeks. Sorry, I thought that was a lot of talking. So any questions or comments about anything else that's been going on in the ecosystem? Okay, cool. So on a personal note, or as a team note, we just got back from the Mozilla Festival in London. So for the last couple of years, we've been really fortunate that we've been able to have a community meetup kind of the day before the Mozilla Festival activities actually start. And so one year we invited a group of add-on reviewers. Last year we had a great workshop about the submission flow and how can we improve that, and the content listings of content of listing pages on AMO. This year what we did is we invited a small group of extension developers who have extensions in the recommended extensions program and also are in the content and ad blocking space. And we invited them for a day to talk a little bit about the recommended extensions program and how it's been going and where it's going in the future. And then we also had a chance to talk a little bit more about what Mozilla's direction should be regarding changes made in Manifest v3, and talked a little bit about mobile APIs. It was a really great discussion. I know that I'm personally grateful that we have a lot of really smart, thoughtful people in our community who really care about giving users choice and user privacy and things that the Mozilla mission stands for, who are also like building products to help users, and that these folks care really passionately about it. So I'm in the process right now of writing a blog post that kind of summarizes some of the stuff that we talked about. That was kind of a general overview. It does look like we have some action items as a result of this, including being a little, we might be restarting some conversations around best practices for creating content for your listing page on AMO. So we had spent a lot of time on that project last year before we kind of had to shift focus and focus mostly on security. So just keep your eyes open for that. I don't think we're going to be requiring anything anytime soon, but we may be starting to encourage people to think a little bit more about what their content looks like. Like, how do you write a good description? How do you write a good summary? How do you choose an appropriate icon for your work? So we may be spinning up some comms around that. It was a great weekend. I'll see if I can track down any videos from the festival itself. There were, this year's theme was ethical AI, which was really interesting. And there was a lot of really great work being shared in the space of like misinformation and disinformation online, which is, a kind of a hot topic in the world right now. So let me see if I can dig up any links to any of those videos and share them, because I thought they were pretty interesting. And Jorge and Andreas and Sylvain were all there with us. So I just wanted to ask if you wanted to share any thoughts from the festival experience and the meetup.
Well, in general, I had a great time. As you said, Caitlin, there was a lot of fun conferences or talks about AI, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, the meetup on Friday was really interesting, especially for me, especially regarding the new Manifest v3 changes from Google and the recommended program. Yes.
Awesome. Well, this was Mozilla Festival's last year in London, so it was a little bittersweet to potentially say goodbye to a really great city for a while. But we'll see. It looks like next year they're still looking at having it in Europe. So, hopefully next year we'll get a good space and we'll be able to have another meetup and meet up with some more folks. So that was all that I had for today. I see that for upcoming events, Christoph is going to be giving a talk on good security practice for extensions. I know Christoph gives a lot of these talks in Paris, so hopefully he'll add in a few more details about where that talk is taking place. And I just want to open the floor for any other comments or concerns or updates from other folks at this time. Okay, very good. As always, feel free to reach out or add a note to this document. Thanks y'all for being a part of our community and for taking the time to check in with us this morning or this evening or whatever, this Tuesday. And we'll see you around. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.